Hi, this is Ben from Joint Dynamics. I've got a little bit of time on my hands today, so I thought I'd share with you something that you sort of may or may not have thought about in terms of your movement and fitness type practices. So sometimes if you can just pick up one really cool concept, it can help you more than if you learn like a new exercise or a new program, for example. So I wonder if you've thought about this. So we know that our bodies are made up of lots of different systems, so that are kind of helping us to stay alive and thrive or protect us from the things that are coming at us from day to day. So we have our circulatory system, we have our nervous system, like we feel things from the outside, we breathe, we digest our food and so on. But it's been pretty important to realise that these systems are not just working sort of alone alongside each other, they're really intertwined and they work together. So a good example of this is our movement. So we know that when we move, we don't just move a part of our body from A to B. We're also kind of reinforcing our structure. We're strengthening our bones, ligaments, and our muscles. We're actually developing our brains as well. So all of these processes within the body are being sort of positively affected by our movement if we move, or negatively affected if we don't move. So one other thing that is really, really closely linked with our movement is actually our immunity. So our ability to sort of fight things off and sort of cleanse our body from day to day. So how is our immunity linked with our movement? Well, it actually has to do with water. So our bodies are made up of about 80% water, and within this we have one of these systems. It's called the lymphatic system. And it's very, very important for sort of filtering out and cleansing the body as these fluids move around the body. And actually there's about 2 to 3 times the amount of fluid within the lymphatic system as there is in the better known circulatory system. So there's lots of this stuff, and the network of vessels in this system goes everywhere as well, just like the circulatory system and the nervous system. So there's a guy called Perry Nicholson, and he uses the analogy of an aquarium. So on the one hand you have an aquarium with a good filtration system, and on the other hand you have one without a filtration system. So you can imagine if you had like a time lapse over time, what would happen to the environments within these two different aquariums. So on the one hand you'd probably have fairly clear water, the little fish and the organisms that are coexisting in there would have access to nutrients, and they would probably be able to thrive, communicate with each other, and just go through the processes they need to. Whereas on this side, you might imagine that the water would slowly become a little bit cloudy and polluted. So in the context of our bodies, do we want things to circulate around and sort of cleanse themselves and be sort of freshened up all the time, or with motion? Or do we want it to kind of just sit there and potentially create an environment that makes these processes that look after our bodies more difficult to happen? So the point being here that the amount we move and the types of movement we choose to do are very, very important in protecting our bodies, not only from the physical threats, from our environment, but actually the smaller threats and potentially infection from outside. So if you look back at the diagram here, you can see that a lot of this system and a lot of these the junctions within it, the nodes, they're kind of accumulated around the main joints of the body. So around the spine, around the neck and shoulders, hips, and so it kind of gives us a clue about the types of movement we can do. So just to put it very, very briefly, just moving from head to toe, so making sure that we're moving more of our body in more different ways. So we might not only settle for sort of more isolated movements like this, we'll be looking for things that are going to really move us from head to toe. Also things like bouncing and rebounding, and just bringing some life into jumping and bringing some life into the body through our springs, through the ground up. And also things that really capture our attention from the outside, that require the attention and the interest of our eyes. So a lot of exercise these days is very controlled and organised, and you don't really have to sort of take into account of your environment. And when we move our eyes, we're also going to move our neck a lot in a lot of different ways. Those kind of things are fairly inseparable, and then the motion going down into the body that way. So lots of variety in general, especially lots of motion in the spine. And if you want any more ideas about different types of movement you can do, check out our YouTube channel. There's some pretty cool stuff on there. And we have our Intelligent Movement series as well, which there are some very sort of creative ways to move your body from head to toe, which you can do with no equipment, so it can be done anywhere. And so if you can pick up some things from there, it will help you now and potentially in the future too. So thanks very much for staying with us and watching, and catch you soon.